Hello everyone, my name is Elizabeth Gilligan and this is my week 6 video on ethical violations and board discipline. First off, the most common reason for discipline in my state is dual relationships, and Simmons, Lilly, and Coonley 2020 discussed how the ACA Code of Ethics is more of a guideline and not, some areas of it can be kind of gray, especially in regards to dual relationships, because obviously sexual or romantic relationships are unethical, but then you have other instances where it may not be unethical. But my feelings on it are that it's surprising, but it's not surprising, because as a counselor, especially after they have gotten out of their counseling relationship, maybe they feel that in this instant it's not going to harm the client that they become friends with them. However, it is still unethical for them to do so, especially if it's still within the allotted time where they are not supposed to have any type of interaction like that with the client. Some common themes for the board discipline in my state are dual relationships and voluntary surrenders, which they do not explain why. All that says is that they are voluntarily surrendering their license as a professional counselor. And then there are also a lot of cases that are from the same person in different years. A recent case that I had read about was the counselor had self-reported because after the counseling relationship, her and the client had become friends, and the client had met her husband and then moved in with the counselor for a total of about 14 months at that point, I believe. The counselor did talk to her practice, and they did approve that she become friends with the client. However, her practice did not know that she was living with the client. There was no romantic relationship between the client and the counselor. The client actually thought of the counselor as a mother figure. The ACA codes and state codes that were violated was South Carolina Code Ann, Section 40-75-100 AB, which actually just states that the counselor had violated the Code of Ethics. And then the ACA Code, Section A6E, non-professional interactions or relationships, pretty much just says to avoid forming relationships with former clients when that relationship could possibly harm the client that they are entering a relationship or friendship with. In this instance, I mean, the harm could be that the client is dependent on the counselor, especially after being in session with the counselor and then immediately moving into the counselor's house after their counseling sessions had ended. The outcome was a public reprimand with conditions of a $500 fine, and the counselor had to complete 3 hours of continuing education courses. The ACA and state codes about counselor impairment. ACA Code Section C2G, counselors are required to monitor themselves and to stop practicing if they find that they are impaired. And then they are to get treatment. And then once treatment is complete, they can begin to practice again. The state code 36-19B, the board will determine whether to suspend the counselor's credentials, and then the counselor will be required to get treatment. As far as what question this brings to mind is, I'm really curious about what the statistics are in my state for counselor impairment and how many of those counselors choose to quit counseling after treatment and why. Thank you.